Hey everybody, this is Chewy Plays Nintendo, and today I want to go over some of your responses from my video last week. So, last week I talked about when the best season to play Animal Crossing was, or rather when the best season to release Animal Crossing was. And I asked you all to let me know what you would prefer too. So overwhelmingly, we got a lot of responses for summer and September, which is still kind of summer, late, kind of early fall, a little bit of an in-between month. But let's take a look at some of the reasons people had for wanting the game to release at a certain time. Baka says, the best month to release Animal Crossing is April. Everything starts blooming in April, right? Weren't the falling petals the symbol of Animal Crossing? Plus, this gives the players the opportunity to experience all the seasons in one year. Too bad that it's not going to release anywhere near spring, not even talking about April. So they like the springtime. I guess they bring up a good point about being able to experience each season in a year. So, you know, people typically think like spring is kind of the start of the seasons, and we go into summer, fall, and winter, and getting that in one year would be pretty nice. It would be cool to see it, but I don't know, I think Animal Crossing is a game that you play all the time, and you know, regardless of when you start, it's going to be, you're gonna play all the seasons in order. And yeah, so I don't know, April, so we have a fan of spring, essentially. Peter Parker says April because that's when Reggie is retiring, and why else would he be retiring other than so he can play Animal Crossing on his Nintendo Switch? That's a very good point. I mean, I don't see why I would retire unless I was just playing Animal Crossing Switch, so I'm pretty sure we're going to see a lot of people retire as soon as the game comes out. Peter, I think you're right. Snowpaw says, I think the best time is June. Summer looks so pretty in Animal Crossing in my opinion, and it reminds me of a fresh start. Kids will have no school to take away playing time, and maybe their parents would buy it for them to reward them on doing good on their final exams. Plus, there will be more bugs and fish to catch. I feel like a lot of people would like to start their game with the town green and sunny. And this is something that I saw over and over again. People who really like getting the game in the summer really appreciate kind of that green and sunny look of the game. And for a lot of people, that just says Animal Crossing to them. For me personally, I think just having all the different seasons really makes it Animal Crossing. I think the real-time clock is like one of the main things to the game, so for me, I don't know. I guess I never just considered summer being the only, the best season to play, but it seems like overwhelmingly I am in the minority for that one. So a lot of people really appreciate summer, and a lot of people really brought up that there will be no school. So AHJLTS says, June/July is a good time for them to release it. School will be out and kids have more time to play. So they make a really good point. I've said over and over that Animal Crossing is a game that definitely appeals to kids. And this is one of the reasons I keep saying like holiday season's a good time for it, just because kids will be able to, it's a good game to get for kids. Like they get lots of reading in, it's a fun game, it's safe, it's all of those things. But the summer is also, people make a good point that the summer is a good time for them to have the game because there's not really, they don't really have to play, I guess they don't have school to go to, they don't have things getting in the way, and they could just spend a lot of their time building and making all their stuff, and you know, yeah, so I believe it. I think summer is a good time for kids to play, but yeah, we'll never know until they say when it's coming. Ayla Renee says, I like the idea of a summer release because an introduction to a beautiful forested green town is ideal. Plus, I like to develop my town a bit before I reach the holidays. I want to have some established friendships, a decorated house, and town for Thanksgiving and Toy Day. So this, I think, I hadn't heard this before, but I think it's a good point. Like, some people don't want to have, I guess, a big festive type of season when their home is just like still starting out. Like, I think one of the big appeals to Animal Crossing is the ability to make a home just how you want it, and having that during a holiday I think makes it really special. So yeah, I can see the reasoning behind this. And then summer, like, if you get it in the summer, you'd have a whole half a year to really prepare your home and make it all festive and things like that when the holidays finally come. Andrew Orto says, early September, you get a bit of summer, then it hits fall. It's honestly the perfect time. Everybody wants to start their village with green out. Releasing the game in late fall or winter is a huge mistake. I don't know. I think a lot of people who have started their games in fall and winter don't, I guess, necessarily feel like there's less to do in Animal Crossing. And I like the scenery of fall and winter too. But like I said, a lot of people really like that green feel of Animal Crossing, and that feels like Animal Crossing to them. So I totally understand that. I'm just thinking, you know, this gets me thinking actually. I think a lot of people who start the games during the summer, they do the bulk of the gameplay in that time period. Like those 3 months, that's a long time to really get yourself established and build your life and get through a lot of the things in the game. So when winter rolls around, I mean, it's gonna be bare, just because you've gone through so much, you've done so many of the things already. So I don't know, I think starting a game in the winter, I don't think it'd be a huge mistake. I think it's just what would happen if we had to. Lindsay says, I think September would be perfect because you would be able to get in Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas before next year. Plus, we'd get some early fall in there. So they agree that September would be a good time. I mentioned in my last video that I think that would be a good time. I mean, personally, I think I'm at the point where I just want to see this game in 2019. But if I had to pick a time, I think September would be nice just to get all of those holidays before the year ends. Kuroa says, the sooner the better. As an Australian, the seasons are back to front for me anyway. So I saw this comment and this is a very good point. Like, my video was definitely focused around like the months and corresponding those months with certain seasons, but that's very like Northern Hemisphere thinking. Like, if we think about the Southern Hemisphere, they've got the opposite things going on for their seasons. So it's pretty interesting to think of it from that perspective. I've said it before, but I'd really like Animal Crossing to essentially add, I guess, a Southern Hemisphere option for everybody who is in the Southern Hemisphere, because, you know, that's like half the world right there. So it would seem obvious to me to add that in. And yeah, I guess the seasons, like, though many people are saying like June, July, because summer would be a good time, like, we're getting firsthand that in other parts of the world that would be winter time. And maybe for them, it's kind of weird that not only does the game come out in June and July, but that's winter for them and they're playing in the summer. So it kind of, I feel like it throws you off, essentially. Like, it's not really corresponding with the real world. But I think more than just the real-time clock, we also need real world, I guess, just regions, so people can play during the season that they're actually in. Brockchad Soup says, people do always talk about there not being much to do during winter, but they may add stuff to do to the new one. Not sure, just a thought. I feel like a lot of people sometimes forget that Animal Crossing Switch isn't going to be an exact copy of New Leaf, so the winters may be a little less bare in the new one. And this is a really good point. I don't think anybody is hoping for like an exact copy of New Leaf, because if that were the case, they would just buy another copy of New Leaf and start another town there. Though I think the appeal to a new game is having something new to look forward to, and this is something I don't think I've mentioned it, but I have thought it. But a lot of people point out that winter is bare and there's not much to do, but I think like there's opportunity in that. I guess for Nintendo to like really grow the activities that you can do during the winter, and maybe this next game gives us a lot of really amazing things to do during the winter, and even beyond that, like they just give us more to do in all the seasons in general. I guess with the Switch being a more powerful system, I think there's more opportunity to really take advantage of that and make this game really great. Finally, Retail Kid says, February. Unfortunately, it is now March 1st, and February has come and gone, and we are not getting the game in February. Unless, you know, they put a ... They could mean February 2020, which would be a very tough wait for everybody. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate seeing all these comments. Everybody had so many good answers. Like I said, a majority of the people said summertime for sure, and I get it. A lot of people, summertime was a very good time in New Leaf, but I'd really like to see the seasons be expanded upon and essentially give us more things to do during the year. So for now, I hope you all have a great weekend, have a great week, and I will see you next week for my next video. Bye!